Hey Meno Warriors, it's Kate and welcome back to my channel where I share a weekly video with you every Monday about something related to menopause. Today I'm talking about things that you might be doing that are making your menopause symptoms worse. The reason I'm sharing this is because I have realized how much I've been doing in the last 24 hours to make my symptoms worse. So normally, if you follow me, you know that I live a fairly healthy-ish lifestyle. I do regular exercise, I get outside a lot, I eat pretty healthily. So yesterday, this isn't a typical day, I just want you to understand that. But yesterday I ended up eating homemade pizza for brunch. It was homemade, so it wasn't too bad, but it wasn't the healthiest thing I could really have chosen. It was one of those days, so and then I had fish and chips for supper. I did have my superfood shake halfway through the day with an apple to sort of put a few things back in that are good for me, but I felt pretty ropey as a result of it. My hot flushes were through the roof. Now, when I pretty much manage what I'm eating and drinking, I can get my hot flushes down to maybe 2 a day, and they're not bad. They're not the ones that make you feel almost like your cells are fizzing. I don't know if you get that, but when I have a bad hot flush, I feel like my cells are fizzy. I feel nauseous. I feel really, really uncomfortable in my body. And I was getting those full on, and I had loads of them. I felt antsy. I felt annoyed in myself. My energy levels were just like, whoa. And then today I had a smint. Again, not the worst thing I could have done, but I'd been in the car for a while. I was thirsty. I hadn't had as much water as I could have. In fact, I was bursting for the loo. So I had got a bottle of water, but I didn't dare put any more in before I'd got back home. Sorry to share that with you, but this is where we keep it real. So I had this smint, and I noticed after about maybe 7 minutes, I had my joints all of a sudden just felt really achy, almost like somebody was flicking a nerve near my joints. Particularly, I noticed it in my hips and my knees. And I was thinking, that's weird. The only thing I've had is a smint. So obviously got back. Yes, it contains aspartame. It contains fake sugars. Fake sugars are just don't eat fake sugars. Okay, they have 0 calories in, but there are so many studies pointing to them having a negative effect on us. For a start, they're highly processed. So why would you? If you really need to have a sweetener, have something like raw sugar, raw honey. Raw sugar, raw unrefined sugar is not bad for you. It is if you have too much of it. The problem is that most of us are eating way more sugar than we should, refined sugar, because it's hidden in the foods that we never thought it would be, like your salad dressings, like ketchup, like mayonnaise, like the bread that you buy, crackers, things like that. So just be mindful of the fact that a lot of foods, unless you make your own stuff from home, are going to contain sugars. So that, in a nutshell, made me think, right, I'm actually going to share things that you might be doing that are making your symptoms worse without you actually really understanding what's going on. So I'm going to sort of break it down. They're really, really simple. Also, make sure that if you, I will share this at the end as well, but if you struggle with your sleep is like the foundation of the fountain of youth. It helps us burn fat more effectively. It makes us make healthier choices when we get good sleep. The body regenerates more when we get good sleep. So at the bottom of this, you'll see a link for my Healthy Sleeping Habits Ebook. It's a guide I wrote a little while back for some of my psychotherapy clients. You are more than welcome to it. It's got lots of tips. And also, once you get that, I will send you a few tips beyond the book that are foods that you can eat that help to promote sleep, drinks that you can have, how to manage when you're waking up in the night and you're just tossing and turning and your brain just won't shut off. So you're going to get a whole lot of really good, valuable stuff. So just make sure to click the link at the bottom, and then obviously I'll send that to you. And by the way, if you find these useful, click the subscribe button, please. That means you won't miss any future episodes. And if you found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up or a love heart if you're watching this on Instagram or Facebook as well. So firstly, shared my story about sore joints and aspartame. Also caffeine. If you're drinking a lot of coffee, in fact, coffee can have an effect on several of your things. But what I want to do is sort of categorize these symptoms. So we're going to be going over like sore joints, anxiety, hot flushes. I've dealt with that a little bit, but I'm going to go into that in more detail. Brain fog, fatigue, energy, mood swings, that sort of thing. So starting with the joint pain, aspartame, fake sugars, yes. You might notice, in fact, even go and try it. If you have a smint in your handbag or in your car or wherever you might have it, go and pop a smint, because it's not going to do that much harm to you. And see, in a few minutes' time, do you suddenly get nervy feelings in your joints? That'll prove to you whether or not you have a negative effect with it. We're all different as well. So what I share with you today, you might try some of the things and you say, it doesn't make any difference to me at all. You have to understand that we're all different. We all work slightly differently. Yes, if we drink or use cyanide, it will kill all of us eventually. But just make sure that, you know, there are certain things in that you might be eating or drinking or doing that might not have such a profound impact on you, but they may have a really profound impact on other people. Caffeine is one of those in question, and so is alcohol, actually, to a degree. Both caffeine and alcohol, some of us can drink more of it and some of us can drink less of it. Caffeine, I know when I cut out caffeine and I also added a vitamin E supplement, my joint pain became so much better. Now, I drink loads and loads of water throughout the day, so I know I couldn't really have had any more water to improve my joint pain. If you don't drink enough water, and to know how much water you should be drinking, weigh yourself in pounds, and then that answer divide by 2, and the result, so the answer is the amount of fluid ounces you ought to be aiming to drink in a day. So say if you weigh 140 pounds, you want to aim to drink around about 70 fluid ounces of water every single day. You can drink a little bit more than that if you want to. Try not to drink less than that. But if you are dehydrated, particularly in the morning, because a lot of ladies I speak to, and for me it was the same, when I first woke up, I'd get out of bed and literally I would hobble like the Tin Man hadn't been oiled for years and years and years. And when I cut out caffeine and added the vitamin E supplement, it made the hugest difference to me. You might follow me and know that I do a lot of exercises as well. Exercise is brilliant for our joint health. It helps stimulate synovial fluid. It helps pump the lymph around our bodies to help cleanse our bodies. It helps to push the oxygen and the nutrients around our bodies. Exercise is one of the cheapest ways of keeping your mental health happy and also keeping strong physical body, but it will improve your sleep and it will also help keep your joints healthy. The more we move, or when we move regularly, we are stimulating the production of synovial fluid. Most of our joints are synovial capsules in the body, so we need synovial fluid in order to keep them healthy and to feed them. But also imagine if you have very little muscle tone, our muscles are helping to support our skeleton, our bone structure. So if we've got weak there, if we're like floppy muscles, we're not going to be supporting our bone structure effectively. Our posture is going to be bad, which is going to mean we're going to hunch over our belly, so we're not going to digest food as well. Our lungs are going to be compressed. We're going to have joint back pain as well. We might get a dowager's hump at the back of our neck. So strong muscles really, really are important. I mean, I know I bang on about exercise nearly every single time, and you're probably absolutely sick to death to hear it. But please, if you're not doing regular exercise, bloody start. It is so important for you. So that sort of covers joint pain and avoid mints and aspartame. Anxiety, also, I'm going to cover anxiety and stress sort of together. Stress really is sort of things that happen to us. It could be nutritional stress, we're eating the wrong stuff like I did the other day. It could be not enough water, so it could be dehydration stress. It could be stress because we have a high-powered job and it's just stressing us out. It could be stress because we're worried about our finances. It could be stress from a relationship that's not going very well. Anxiety is that sort of low-grade, constant black shadow. So stress is like more individual things. Anxiety is the build-up, is almost like the umbrella of cumulative stress. And anxiety is one of those things. I mean, I specialize in anxiety as a psychotherapist. I want you to know it is 100% treatable. Anxiety is 100% treatable. Promise you. But it is also one of those things that if you don't nip it in the bud, basically, the sooner you can start working on your anxiety, the better it's going to be for you. Stress is one of those things that we're all going to have occasionally in our lives. Modern day, we have a lot of stressors. Anxiety is something that you really want to be able to manage effectively, as well as stress. Obviously, stress happens, and we want to be able to deal with stressful situations in as an effective way as possible. But anxiety is one of those for sure you definitely want to get some help with if you're finding that you're avoiding going out and you're avoiding contact with people. You feel like your world's imploding. Go and get help. And give me a call if you need help. I'm more than happy. I offer a free consultation to everyone that I speak to, because it's important that we know we can sort of work together as well, and that we have a good rapport. So that's an aside. But if you're struggling with anxiety, get in touch. So you can make your anxiety worse by being dehydrated. Normally, a lot of us don't drink throughout the night. So, whatever time you stop drinking water to when you wake up in the morning, one of the first things I do is have a large pint of warm water. And it just sort of helps to replenish your body with the stuff that it really, really needs. You'll find that will help you if you are struggling with sort of palpitations, if you're struggling, feeling really antsy when you wake up. Also know that if you're eating food, if you're using food as fuel, it'll help you manage anxiety more effectively. If you're eating a lot of processed foods, if you're eating a lot of refined sugars, that is not going to help your anxiety at all. It will make you more prone to panic attacks. It'll make you more prone to just that sense of fizzing underneath the surface, which is horrible, because I think a lot of us have had that, particularly, as we go through the menopause and our hormones are all over the shop. Our bodies are constantly in stress because we're trying to balance those hormones. Granted, as you get further beyond through into your postmenopausal years, it's not as bad. I think we do tend to, we get used to it, we adapt to it, but also the fluctuations in our hormones are not as severe as during the perimenopause. I think perimenopausal years is probably the worst. But also recognize patterns in yourself. Are you sleeping enough? Because if you're not, that is going to have a really negative impact on how you manage stress and how anxious you feel. So again, sleep is such an important aspect of a healthy life. So it might be that you have to go to bed a bit earlier. I know there are sometimes when I've been working late, or I've been working really hard, and sometimes I'll put on the news or I'll watch something, on television for maybe an hour before bed. And then sometimes I just think, I can't even be bothered to get up to go to bed. I'm so tired. And I think that happens to a lot of us. But remember, when you're thinking that, you're just making it even worse. And I sort of give myself an invisible kick up the bum. It's just like, get to bloody bed. If you're feeling like you don't want to get off the sofa because you're so tired, well, now is the time to get off the sofa and get into bed. So prioritize. I think if you're feeling like that regularly, avoid the television completely. If you don't have time to watch a bit, if you like to watch a bit of telly and you don't have the time to watch a bit of television, just prioritize your sleep. Get into the habit of looking after you first. Television will wait. The news will wait. It probably won't change for the next few days or weeks. Watch the news once a week, maybe. But just be mindful that there are things that you can do, and if you can get to sleep a little bit earlier, just gives you more chance to actually get a really good night's sleep before you have to get up the next day. The other thing I would say is, what is your alarm clock like? I mean, I have the flexibility of most mornings waking up naturally. I don't use curtains, so summer months I do tend to wake up earlier. But if you have to be woken up by an alarm clock, maybe consider getting one of those alarm clocks where it actually simulates daylight. So there's a little light on it. I got one for my daughter because my daughter's a real bed bunny, and in the morning, she probably won't appreciate me saying this at all, but I think it's a nicer way for her to wake up. So the alarm clock starts to sort of emulate the sunshine coming up, and then eventually the birds start to sing, and it makes bird song and all sorts. And it's a really nice way to come around in a really gentle way, rather than when I was a child or sort of teenager and I had one of those old-fashioned alarm clocks that literally went it's like, oh my god, and you had to sort of try and hit the top of it just like stop it before it either fell off the top or before you literally went into sort of just had this died of shock, strange shock syndrome. So do consider how you wake up. Maybe you could, I mean, we all have our mobile phones now. Maybe just find a really sort of gentle chime rather than a sort of high-pitched, horrible, bangy alarm clock like I used to wake up with. So bear in mind, what are you making sure that you're getting to bed early enough, which will also have a positive impact on how you manage your stress and anxiety more effectively. So hot flushes, something that I was plagued with so badly yesterday, purely because I ate all the wrong stuff and I didn't feed myself very much with the right stuff. Caffeine can set them off. Alcohol can set them off. Spices can set them off. I'm a great fan of spices. They're really healthy for us. But if you're finding you're struggling with hot flushes, I would say maybe cut out the chili and the cayenne pepper, maybe even ginger, even though it's really good for us, and just see how you go. You might find that when you reduce those, that your hot flushes subside enough, and it might just mean that you have to have mild curries for a while, or spicy food for a while. But things like turmeric, cumin, garam masala, ground coriander, cumin, those sorts of things, they're really, really good for us. So don't rule those out. Just maybe remove the spicy ones, the hot ones, and see how you manage with that. It might be sufficient to reduce the amount of hot flushes that you're having. Make sure you are well hydrated. One of the things that triggers me, even when I'm sort of following a really healthy lifestyle, is the minute I start to think that I'm thirsty, I get a hot flush. And it's not one of those nice, none of them are nice, but it's one of those nasty hot flushes when I feel like my cells are fizzing and I feel a little bit nauseous. That brings me on to brain fog. Now, brain fog can be made worse when we drink too much coffee, if we drink too much alcohol, and if we are eating things that are making our blood sugars spike or possibly even dip too low. Now, if you wake up in the morning and you're finding that you're feeling foggy, you're feeling fatigued, you're feeling crabby, it could be down to low blood sugars. But our body on the whole, unless you're nudging pre-diabetes, really our body's very good at making sure our blood sugars stay within a healthy level. Again, this is one of those times where you really need to try and work out what works best for you. But if you're waking up with low blood sugars consistently, I would I'd go and have a chat with your doctor, just in case you're nudging towards pre-diabetes. And otherwise, have a look at what you're eating. Are you eating too many refined sugars and refined carbs? Are there things that you could be doing to improve what you eat? So make sure you're eating lean, healthy protein. Make sure you're eating lots of fiber. Make sure you're eating a wide range of vegetables and fruit. Have a real think about what it is that you're eating. If you're sort of having a fairly, maybe a processed meal for dinner, and then maybe you've been to the drive-through or got a takeout, and then you might finish with a bowl of ice cream, that is going to just play havoc on your blood sugars. And it might mean that when you wake up in the morning, you're feeling pretty ropey. So that is not a normal way to feel. Obviously, if you've had too much alcohol, it's probably your liver. You might be feeling nauseous. You can always have something like dandelion greens. Milk thistle is really, really good to help support our liver health. But just be mindful of what you are eating and drinking regularly, because a lot of people talk about, it's probably low blood sugar, so go and eat something. Well, why have you got those low blood sugars? Yes, eating something will help you. Have a banana, have a couple of dates, something like that. That will bring it up really nicely. Ideally, maybe with some almond butter or peanut butter, or maybe some Greek yogurt, just so you've got the healthy fat as well and the protein in that as well. But just be really mindful of, if you're regularly waking up with feeling crabby, brain foggy, feeling fatigued, feeling a little bit nauseous, it could be low blood sugars, and you should not be regularly having low blood sugars. You might be one of the few people who need to have a late night snack. And if you are, something like Greek yogurt with prunes, maybe some grape nuts on top, maybe if you love nut butter, you could either, if you're sort of trying to cut your calories down, you could always use some powdered peanut butter. To be honest, I don't like the stuff myself, but I know a lot of people that use it instead of, and that works really, really well. So that you're getting, dairy products are great they contain tryptophan, which helps it converts to serotonin, which is one of our happy hormones, which helps you sleep better. So if you can eat foods that are rich in magnesium and rich in tryptophan, you're going to score well. So tryptophan high foods are things like coriander, spinach, tofus, nuts, seeds. Dark chocolate is also high in magnesium, but also very dark chocolate contains quite a lot of caffeine. So you don't want to be eating too much of that before bed either, because the caffeine might keep you more stimulated and help, you know, make getting to sleep harder. Bananas are high in tryptophan, turkey, chicken. I think if you're eating lean, healthy protein with lots of vegetables and, you know, maybe snacking on nuts and seeds throughout the day as well, that is going to help you get to sleep more easily. Just be mindful that if you're buying things like flavored yogurts, although they're marketed as healthy, they're not. They often contain a lot of sugar or fake sugar. If you want to have a flavor added to your, I'd buy a natural yogurt, I'd buy Greek yogurt, something with live bacteria too, that's going to benefit your gut health. Add fruit yourself. Add either banana slices or prunes or berries or a mixture of those with maybe a few nuts and seeds scattered on top. It's going to be a much healthier alternative. Also, I talk to a lot of people who love a bowl of cereals before bed. A lot of our cereals, even though they're marketed as healthy, are really high in sugar. Something like oats is brilliant because the sugar, I don't think they even can, it might be 0.1 grams of sugar, but they're very high in fiber. So those are excellent for you. They're also quite high in protein, actually, oats are as well. So if you could have like oats with Greek yogurt with maybe some prunes and banana on top with scattering of, I don't know, mixed seeds, that would be really, really good for you. So just be mindful that even though they say they're healthy on the packet, they're often not. Get good at looking at food labels, carbohydrates, of which sugars. If the fiber ratio is, if the fiber number is higher than the sugar, brilliant. In most instances, people say up to 9 grams of sugar per serving is okay. I would not budge. I wouldn't have it if it was above 4 grams of sugar, purely because why would you? You know, it's like processed fruit juices and things. I think we're becoming more aware of it now, but they're just full of sugar. If you have a juicer at home and you've just done your orange juice or your lemon juice or your apple juice, whatever it might be, that's different. But the stuff you buy in cartons in the shop has normally been treated, so it's been pasteurized, it might have been homogenized, whatever the treatments are with it. Takes all the goodness out of it. It's useless. It's just, you might as well have a can of Coke at breakfast instead. So just be really, really mindful of the foods that you think you might be eating because they're healthy. They're not. If you want a glass of orange juice, you'll be better off just to eat an orange. So how can you also improve your chances of a good night's sleep, which are going to help set you up for success the next day? Things like sleepy tea. You can get herbal teas. There's one called Pucker Nighttime. That's a blend of herbs. I also have chamomile tea. Make sure you have had plenty of water before bed, probably not immediately before bed, because it might mean that then, you know, you have to get up through the night to go to the toilet. Having said that, I do that a lot because I do drink water right through up until going to bed, and I'd much rather just get up for a piddle through the night and get back into bed and go back to sleep than I would to wake up thirsty. I hate, and I will normally have another drink of water when I get back into bed again. Make sure that you have avoided as many sugars as possible. You could even, I would also get off your screens a good hour before bedtime, and focus on eating healthy-ish food as much as you can, which are also going to help you get a better night's sleep. Everything that is going to benefit your sleep is going to benefit your mental health. It's going to benefit your gut health. It's going to help your decision making. It really does underpin literally everything that we do. If you sleep badly, you've already tripped yourself up for the next day. If you have a busy brain, another thing I would suggest that you do is brain dump the stuff that you need to do the next day. So you've got it down, you've removed it out of your head. It's going to reduce your stress. It's going to give you an element of control because you feel like you're already ahead of the game. So rather than waking up most of us wake up and do our day in reactive mode rather than actually steering how we want our day to go. So consider doing a brain dump, maybe even put your clothes out ready for the next day so you know what you're going to wear. Just try and get yourself as organized as possible, because it will just take away the rush that you might have in the morning. And if you can wake up calmer, it's going to reduce your anxiety. It's going to help you get rid of the brain fog's not going to be so bad because you're not sort of reactive. The confusion is dissipated to some degree. Hopefully you've slept better. Make sure you drink a large glass of warm water when you wake up in the morning. I always add a bit, I add the juice of a lemon or half a lemon rather, and or a squidge of raw apple cider vinegar. They're both really, really good for you. And warm water is better because it just helps the body. It just stimulates your metabolism better. The other thing I would also just mention, going back to the blood sugars, it also is consider intermittent fasting. I follow a 16-8 ratio. So I don't eat through a 16-hour window, and I normally just eat within an 8-hour window. And I don't eat everything I want to eat. Like yesterday or the other day when I was eating poorly, you know, that was stupid. I'm glad not to be repeating that sort of day again. So you do want to be mindful with what you're eating, but if you're eating in a smaller window, it does help, particularly if you are pre-diabetic or struggling with diabetes too, particularly. If you can do intermittent fasting, it gives your digestive system time just to relax, to heal. We don't need to you see a lot of evidence saying, oh, just keep snacking, keep grazing to keep your blood sugars up. We're actually doing ourselves harm when we're doing that. We don't need to keep eating. You're better off just to eat a good meal at one time of the day, and then have 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 hours before your next meal, so that you give your blood sugars time to regulate. When you look out there, you know, there is so much obesity. There are so many people with diabetes or pre-diabetes, and there's a lot that we can do to help mitigate that. So I hope this has helped. I think it was just really important. You know, I've had a few days of not looking after myself ever so well, and I really noticed the difference. There is so much that we can do to reduce our symptoms of the menopause. And yeah, I really hope you found this helpful. There was no sort of pointing fingers meant with it at all, except for at myself, because I've done all the stuff myself recently too. But just know that you have so much more power than you might think in order to improve how you sort of experience the menopause. So with that, thank you for your company. Thank you for your patience. I feel like my words are just not coming out very clearly at the moment. It's probably brain fog from all the rubbish I've been eating and the smints. I'd be really interested if you do the smint test. Please comment below if it made your joints go like twingy, sort of 10 minutes afterwards. The other thing you can do is track your food and drink. Just do it for a couple of weeks. You will then get a really good idea of what food and drink makes you antsy, what food and drink sets off hot flushes, what food and drink makes you sleep well, what food and drink makes you sleep poorly, what food and drink makes you feel happier, what food and drink makes you feel sadder. We react so much to what we eat and drink. I promise you, it's not everything, but it does have a huge impact on your menopausal symptoms. So thank you again for your company, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.